Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane. It's the morning of Monday, 23rd of September, 2019. And I'm inside, as you can see, because autumn is well and truly with us. And I know much of the country got a bit of a battering from wind and rain last night. And hopefully, if you've got to travel today, then your journey is not going to be too painful. I myself have got to get across to Leicester and for the next stage for week 3 of the 5G Is It Safe tour. So tonight I should be at the Belmont Hotel in Leicester, and then tomorrow at the Britannia Hotel in Nottingham. On Wednesday I should be at the Holiday Inn, the Orwell Holiday Inn in Ipswich, and then the Royal Cambridge Hotel in Cambridge on Thursday. And then, so that's next week. It's the East Midlands, or this coming week, the East Midlands. Then the week after that, I should be in Hull, Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester, and Edinburgh. And then the final week of the tour will be Glasgow, Belfast, Swansea, and Cardiff. And I'm pleased to say that we are getting some very, very serious and very real traction. And today is the meeting of the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Scrutiny Committee of the local council there. And this is the invitation being put out by the Scrutiny Committee for people to express their concerns over the 5G rollout. And of course, Bournemouth is not only one of the target cities, but it's also working very closely with Ordnance Survey to effectively ensure that Bournemouth is fully covered with 5G, and looking at where they can site their 5G transmitters. And of course, Bournemouth has already identified bus shelters and even park benches as potentially appropriate sites for 5G transmitters. So I know that all the people who want to say something have had to already register their desire to say something, and people have been told they have up to 5 minutes, but they have to do that by Friday. So this afternoon, if you haven't managed to get on the list of people invited to speak, then go along and listen to people express their concerns. And this is between 4 o'clock and 5:30 today, and it will be at the council chamber, the civic offices, Bridge Street in Christchurch, and the postcode of that is BH23 1AZ. So, of course, this is completely the wrong way round, because people should be going along to listen to Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council explain all of the due diligence that they have undertaken to ensure that the rollout of 5G is absolutely safe for all residents. But of course, they can't do that because there are no independent studies which prove 5G frequencies to be safe. So this is the industry and their sort of complicit local authorities trying to turn the tables and say, look, it's not for us to prove it's safe, it's for you to prove it's unsafe. This is fundamentally wrong. And of course, this is the way the corporatocracy would like to work, on the basis that it can do whatever the hell it likes to make as much money as it might like. And then when eventually it's realized that there is a horrendous degree of collateral, i.e. in terms of massive increases in cancers, increases in depression, increases in self-harming, increases in suicide, then of course the establishment goes, oh dear, oh well, what a shame, I will just quietly pull the plug. And one of the things that I talk about in the 5G Is It Safe presentations, of course, is the Bridgend suicides, which was 11 years ago now. Although in the 5 years between 2007 and 2012, there was a reported 76 suicides in the wider county borough of Bridgend. And to this day, there has not been any official investigation, or if there has been, then certainly the results haven't been published. And yet, Barry Trower, when he went to Bridgend to look at whether or not there was any connection between the suicides and proximity of phone masts, and of course back then it was 2G, he was able to ascertain that basically every one of these suicides lived within 80 meters of a phone mast. And of course, there was another medical professional who went down to Bridgend, and he was able to ascertain that every one of the suicides was either on or had recently come off a course of Ritalin. So consider the possibility that there is, maybe even a connection, and particularly the effect that RF has on those young people that already have some kind of disturbances within their neurology. So, here we've got a situation being manifested across the country at which the wider public are nothing more than lab rats. And of course, the industry does not want to debate this subject because they know that basically if they debate it, then the likelihood is that they are not going to come out of that debate particularly well. They have no high ground because basically the industry can be shut down in one fell swoop, in a debate that is, by simply asking them to produce an independent study proving 5G frequencies to be safe. That's truly independent, not Public Health England, not ICNIRP, not any of the other pseudo government bodies or industry bodies masquerading as independent consultancies, when in reality they are simply there to push this on the largely unsuspecting public. So if you can't get along to any of the 5G, is it safe presentations, and of course, the great thing about these presentations is that it brings together communities, and we give people an opportunity to hook up and then to develop their own local active group. And what's manifesting today in Bournemouth is very much the result of local people coming together, speaking with their elected representatives and asking the question, what due diligence have you undertaken? And of course, the answer basically is none, because everybody assumes that somebody else is looking at it. So they all point the finger over there. Oh, it's not us, it's the government. Oh, it's Ofcom. Oh, it's the county council. Oh, it's the street lighting contractor. Everyone's looking to pass the buck. And this is a sad, sad, sad reflection of society today, not just in the UK, but further afield as well, where everyone is looking for somebody else to blame. And of course, we saw that on Friday with the mass hysteria of the climate strikes. And this is really why I've titled today's broadcast "Government by Mass Hysteria." The globalists want to bring about systemic change. They're not going to be able to bring about that change if they are seen to be driving it themselves. So what do? You create a social movement. Well, this has been building ever since the Club of Rome first mooted the idea that climate change, global warming, could all be blamed on humanity, and therefore humanity could be turned into the enemy of itself. And right now, I would say that the gullibility of the youth, and in blindly following the baby greeter and not looking at who is pulling her strings, at who is manipulating her. The likelihood is that within a decade or so, either baby greeter realizes the degree to which she has been manipulated, or she gets drunk on the exposure at the inner echelons, if you like, of the global corporatists, and just parrots whatever it is they're calling for, which by 2030 will probably be euthanasia. Certainly euthanasia of anybody who is no longer able to contribute to the corporatocracy, because they won't be able to retire. Because, of course, all part of the new Green Deal, part of the proposition here is to tap in to pension funds, to use those pension funds as seed capital to create their new Green Deal, which basically means the monetization of pretty much anything and everything they can lay their hands on. And, of course, this was as epitomized by Peter Brabeck when he was chairman and chief executive officer of Nestle. 13 years ago now, when in an interview he said that in his opinion, access to water should not be regarded as a human right. It should be treated as a commodity, just like everything else. And this is the perverse sociopathic mindset, right up close and personal. So, as is always the case, of course, the onus is on us, those who retain the capability and capacity for independent thought and are somehow immune from getting caught up in the mass hysteria. And by the way, if you want to check out the depth and breadth of the people who are participating in the climate strike, then you be prepared to be very, very shocked at the inability to articulate the reasons behind their strength of feeling, because they can't. And of course, even with the baby greeter, nobody is allowed to question or certainly challenge her mantra. Because if they do, especially if someone like me did it, I would simply be accused of being, a white male bully. So, how brilliant is that you can put, a 16 or now 17-year-old up, that has issues, certainly surrounding her autism, but anyone who dares to question what comes out of her inexperienced and adolescent mouth, is immediately dismissed as, being an irrelevance because you're just bullying her. So, I have to marvel at the brilliance of this and, how many people actually fall for it. So, what can we do? Well, we just keep plugging away and we keep trying to find ways to pull together those like-minded people who do not fall for this and can resist the mass hysteria. So interesting times ahead. Watching what unfolds at the party conferences as the political parties go into meltdown with their own internal division. And of course, all this is part of the pantomime to bring about systemic change. And the systemic change that the corporatocracy wants is sortition. And who should be pushing sortition? Extinction Rebellion. And, Extinction Rebellion pushing 5G, pushing, the fourth industrial revolution without any real comprehension or realization of what this truly involves. And, the bottom line is that if the global corporatists have their way, and those who believe themselves to be the rightful rulers of a planetary fiefdom, then basically we are literally in the last generation of humanity, because their idea, as certainly articulated by Ray Kurzweil, who's the director of engineering with Google, is that within the next 20, 25 years, consciousness will be able to be downloaded into the mainframe, at which point, of course, there is no need for the physical vehicle. So what an amazing opportunity that is for saving the planet. We can cull the population because we won't be losing anything, because their consciousness will be in the mainframe. And of course, those who cannot or do not wish to make a direct contribution to the corporatocracy will be outlawed under penalty of euthanasia if caught. So, this may sound somewhat extreme, but, join the dots and you will see for yourself that unless we take an active part in changing this direction, then the legacy that we will be leaving future generations really just doesn't bear thinking about. So thanks for joining me this morning. I am not going to be doing any more live streams this week, as finding that the tour and obviously the inevitable late nights that go with it are not conducive with me getting up early to do the morning live streams. So I will be back with my next live stream, I think probably next Monday morning. But meanwhile, if you get the opportunity to join me on any of the 5G Is It Safe presentations this week, say that's Leicester tonight, Nottingham tomorrow, Ipswich on Wednesday, and Cambridge on Thursday. And if you can't get along to any of the live presentations, then the live stream that was recorded in Reading last Friday is now accessible, and that's on my website, that's ianrcrane.com, and also alternativeview.co.uk, and those are the websites where you can get advance tickets for any of the 5G events. Okay, so that's it from me right now. You have a great week, and look forward to seeing you if you can make it to one of the 5G events. But if you can get to Bournemouth, if you're in the area, get to the scrutiny meeting this afternoon in Christchurch. That's 4 o'clock this afternoon. And do whatever it takes. Get active. Join a local group, or just do whatever you feel that you want to do on your own. But let's be active, and let's bring about the changes that we all know we need to see. You have a great day. Bye now.